12 of the NBA's 30 franchises are majority owned by Jewish stakeholders. The last 4 decades of commissioners, every single one was Jewish. Public filings now trace NBA capital flowing into Israeli defense and technology firms. This is not a conspiracy. It is documented, verifiable, and almost nobody in the league will talk about it. To understand how this influence took hold, you have to go back to a Philadelphia gymnasium in 1917. In 1917, a group of recent high school graduates founded the South Philadelphia Hebrew Association basketball team, better known as the SPHAS, led by Eddie Gottlieb, Harry Chicky Passon, and Edwin Huey Black. The SPHAS began as a local club under the Young Men's Hebrew Association. Their games quickly drew crowds in Philadelphia's immigrant neighborhoods, where basketball offered both community and opportunity. When the Young Men's Hebrew Association withdrew support, citing concerns about the sport's rough edges, the team pressed on, adopting the SPHAS name and building a reputation for skill and resilience. Throughout the 1920s and the 1930s, the SPHAS dominated the American Basketball League. Their roster remained predominantly Jewish, and their success helped establish basketball as a respected pursuit within Jewish communities and beyond. The team's influence extended far beyond the court. Eddie Gottlieb, for example, used his experience with the SPHAS to become a founding executive in professional basketball, eventually joining the board that would create the NBA. On June 6, 1946, league owners assembled at New York's Commodore Hotel to launch the Basketball Association of America, the BAA. Maurice Podoloff, a Russian-born lawyer and sports administrator, was elected as the league's first president. Podoloff's leadership would guide the BAA through its early years and its 1949 merger with the National Basketball League, forming what is now the NBA. His tenure introduced innovations like the college draft and, later, the 24-second shot clock, both of which are documented in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame archives. Podoloff's appointment marked the beginning of a long tradition, Jewish executives and entrepreneurs at the helm of professional basketball's most influential institutions. David Stern assumed the role of NBA commissioner in 1984, inheriting a league struggling with declining ratings and financial instability. Over the next 30 years, Stern led an aggressive expansion of the league's global footprint. Under his leadership, league revenue grew from roughly $165 million in 1984 to more than $5 billion by the time he stepped down in 2014, according to NBA annual reports. Stern negotiated landmark television deals, launched the NBA's first international offices, and championed the creation of the WNBA and the NBA Development League. He standardized the league's salary cap system and implemented strict conduct codes, moves that reshaped the NBA's public image and commercial appeal. Stern's tenure also saw the NBA open its doors to international players and audiences, with league games broadcast in more than 200 countries by the early 2000s. In a 2012 commissioner's address, Stern described basketball as an American export story, positioning the NBA as a global brand. When Adam Silver succeeded Stern in 2014, he continued this approach, overseeing the league's expansion into streaming, digital media, and new markets. Silver, also of Jewish heritage, has spoken publicly about the NBA's commitment to diversity and global engagement. Under Silver's watch, league revenue surpassed $10 billion by 2025, and the NBA deepened its ties with international sponsors and tech partners. The combined 40-year leadership of Stern and Silver has established a culture of continuity at the top of the NBA, shaping nearly every aspect of the modern league's governance and business strategy. 12 of the NBA's 30 franchises are currently majority owned by individuals or entities with documented Jewish heritage. This figure is drawn directly from SEC, Form 13D, and 8K filings, NBA ownership disclosures, and annual reports from the league's legal department. The concentration stands out in the context of American professional sports, where the national average for Jewish representation among Fortune 500 chair positions is approximately 2%. The NBA's 12-team statistic is more than 6 times that benchmark, underscoring a unique pattern within the league's ownership structure. The list of majority Jewish-owned teams includes the Chicago Bulls under Jerry Reinsdorf, the Golden State Warriors with Joe Lacob and Peter Guber, the Miami Heat's Mickey Arison, and the Philadelphia 76ers, led by Josh Harris. Other franchises with verified majority stakes include the Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, and the Orlando Magic, each with ownership shares confirmed through SEC and state corporate registry filings. Minority Jewish investors also hold significant but non-controlling stakes in teams such as the Atlanta Hawks, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Toronto Raptors, as recorded in league and FEC documents. Miriam Adelson's acquisition of the Dallas Mavericks in 2023 stands as a recent and highly publicized example. SEC Form 8. K filed on April 12, 2023 shows Adelson's family trust purchased 100% of the franchise's voting equity for $2.5 billion, a transaction approved by the NBA Board of Governors 8 days later. Public records from the FEC show that Adelson has donated more than $15 million to pro-Israel political action committees since 2016, including IPAC Friends in Israel, Strong. Her philanthropic and political activities are widely reported in the Wall Street Journal and ESPN, both of which have analyzed the intersection of her ownership with her advocacy work. The NBA's governance report for 2024 confirms that Adelson has disclosed her investments in Israeli health tech firms and has recused herself from league committees dealing with Middle East market expansion. This documented ownership map provides a clear database picture of the league's current power structure, setting the stage for a closer examination of the financial and political pipelines that now link the NBA to Israeli interests. In January 2026, Stephen Curry's $12 million equity stake in Israeli tech surfaced through SEC filings. The investment targeted Miriam Tech and Cypher, both founded by former Unit 8200 intelligence officers and known for signal intelligence software, now used by NATO allies and Israeli security agencies. NBA compliance officials reviewed Curry's involvement, confirming no breach of league neutrality, as long as his image remained separate from company marketing and defense contracts. The findings, finalized in March 2026, allowed Curry's investment to stand as a passive holding. Kevin Durant's financial connection to Israel centers on his $8 million minority stake in Skydio, a California drone manufacturer. According to a July 2025 Form 4 filing, Durant acquired a 2% share just as Skydio secured a $75 million contract to supply autonomous drones to the Israel Defense Forces. The U.S. Department of Defense lists Skydio as an approved vendor for the IDF. The NBA Ethics Committee, after reviewing coverage from the Los Angeles Times and Defense News, ruled Durant's stake permissible, provided he avoided public endorsements referencing the IDF contract. Omri Casspi, Israel's first NBA draftee, launched Swish Ventures in Tel Aviv in 2022. By late 2025, the fund managed $150 million in assets, specializing in sports tech and analytics. Swish Ventures' portfolio now supplies data tools to 4 NBA teams, creating a direct link between Israeli innovation and league operations. Caspi's advisory role on the NBA Innovation Committee, disclosed in the 2024 NBA Innovation Report, further deepened these ties. As negotiations to bring NBA games to Tel Aviv advanced, these financial and operational connections shaped the league's approach to global expansion. On May 14, 2025, the NBA and the city of Tel Aviv finalized a memorandum of understanding to explore hosting regular season games at Menorah Mivtachim Arena. The agreement, summarized in NBA International Business Development memos and reported by the Israeli press, lays out a series of binding conditions. Security protocols require coordination with both Israeli police and international private security firms, modeled after procedures used for NBA games in London and in Mexico City. The document's neutrality clause prohibits political messaging at the event, with all public statements subject to advance review by the NBA Public Affairs Office. Sponsorship terms allow Israeli tech companies to participate as official partners, but only after a league-level conflict review ensures there are no direct ties to defense contracts or ongoing controversies. The announcement generated immediate and polarized reactions. Israeli media outlets, including Haaretz and the Jerusalem Post, welcomed the move as a sign of international recognition and economic opportunity. In contrast, several non-governmental organizations and advocacy groups released statements urging a pause, citing ongoing human rights concerns and the risk of the NBA being drawn into regional disputes. According to a 2026 NBA Ethics Council memorandum, the league's leadership committed to upholding all contractual safeguards, including full disclosure by any stakeholder with government-linked business. The public debate around the Tel Aviv Agreement underscores how the league's global expansion now carries real-world consequences for its governance and public image. Sports law scholars point to a suite of reforms, now under review, by the league's governance committee. One proposal would require all owners, players, and senior executives to file an annual foreign interest schedule, disclosing any equity in companies tied to foreign governments or politically sensitive industries. A sports economist notes that a recusal threshold set at $20 million in foreign defense or government contracts could help insulate league policy from outside influence without penalizing routine international investments. Another recommendation, drawn from recent policy literature, suggests that an independent ethics council composed of legal scholars, retired judges, and diversity officers should vet high-profile transactions before they reach the Board of Governors. This idea has gained traction in academic circles and among some team owners, who argue that independent review would strengthen public trust in league decisions. At the same time, representatives from the Anti-Defamation League warn that heightened scrutiny of owners' backgrounds can sometimes fuel anti-Semitic rhetoric, especially when policy debates single out Jewish or Israeli-linked stakeholders. A DL's March 2026 statement urges the league to balance transparency with clear communication. Governance rules should focus on objective thresholds and documented conflicts, not on ethnicity or national origin. These competing perspectives leave the NBA at a crossroads between rigorous oversight and the risk of amplifying harmful narratives. The debate continues as the league weighs its next steps. Today, the NBA's ownership map and investment ties are matters of public record, visible to anyone willing to look. As the league prepares for Tel Aviv games and deepening global connections, the real test is transparency. Who influences the game now shapes more than just basketball. Join the conversation below